Hey folks, how's it going? This is Mike, and I'm back to do another video. This one is, well, first of all, the music in the background, I don't know if you can hear it. This is Jimi Hendrix, Band of Gypsies. Okay? 1970, classic album. Where were you in 1970? Anyway, I'd like to do kind of an update video, and it's something else too. It's kind of a video response to a video I did a couple of weeks ago. I did one where I talked about collecting and whether or not we are, well, I'm talking about me, nobody else, whether or not I'm crossing the line between collecting and hoarding, right? That was all done for fun, and like I said, I wasn't criticizing anybody else, just me. So anyway, I'm back with conclusive proof that I have most definitely crossed the line into DVD hoarding. So I'd like to show you what I bought. You ever heard of a company called Hoarder'S.com? This is one of their catalogs here. They sell a lot of really obscure stuff. Movies going all the way back to the silent era, a lot of low-budget things from Poverty Row Studios, hordes of westerns and horror films and dramas and all kinds of things. And they also sell a lot of obscure TV shows that nobody else is selling. So anyway, I've been buying stuff from them for years, right? And a while ago they were having a sale on their Alpha Video series. And Alpha Video is kind of a division of, well, I think they make those themselves. They sell DVDs from other companies as well for discount prices, but the Alpha Video series is something they make themselves, and they, like I said, very obscure things that other people just don't sell. So anyway, they were selling them all for $3.99 a piece, and I went a little bit crazy. Okay, I mean, we're talking piles of stuff here, and more, still more. So anyway, I just want to show you what I got. I thought it'd be kind of fun. All right, first of all, the ones that are kind of science fiction and horror related. I'll show you what these are here. Okay, this is a group of DVDs from an old TV show from the 1950s, 53, 54, called Rocky Jones Space Ranger. And I already have 2 or 3 of these, but I decided to get every one that they have available, okay? This is a 4-volume set right here, Rocky Jones Space Ranger. This is an episode called The Gypsy Moon, Manhunt in Space. Look at their costumes, look how cool those are. Silver Needle in the Sky, okay? These are just loads of fun. I mean, this guy flies around in a rocket ship, and he's going from planet to planet like he's going from city to city, you know, like, I'll be back from Venus in about an hour, then I'll meet you on Saturn for coffee, we'll talk about the situation over and out, and it's just great fun. Okay, so I got those. I also got Grave of the Vampire, starring William Smith, which I've never seen. This is a Grindhouse double shock show. Got this little division within a division called Grindhouse Films that they put out. This is 2 films. One is called Fright, and the other is called Stark Fear, and it stars Beverly Garland, who is one of my favorite actresses from the 50s and 60s, and that'll be fun to watch. I hear it's a very grisly, kind of a scary, violent film, but we'll see. Anyway, also, Bela Lugosi, Shadow of Chinatown, The Little Shop of Horrors, which for some reason I never had before. This is a film called Battle Beyond the Sun, which originally was a Russian film that Roger Corman brought over to the United States and decided to revamp it to make it more to American tastes. And he enlisted a young director named Francis Ford Coppola, who's directing under a different name, to help him do an American version. So I've never seen this, but it sounds kind of interesting. Okay. Bela Lugosi, One Body Too Many. You see that? It's probably too close. All right. Lon Chaney, The Indestructible Man, from the 1950s. The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. Ooh. These have great covers. They really do have great covers on these videos. Here is Chapter 2 of a serial called The Phantom Creeps, starring Bela Lugosi. And I already had Chapter 1 for some reason, never had Chapter 2, but now I do. I love those old serials. Boris Karloff, Doomed to Die. Roger Corman's The Last Woman on Earth, from the year 1961 or 62, I think. Here's a cool one. The Mesa of Lost Women. Check out the chick on the front, not to mention the chicks on the back. Okay. Yeah. And then we have, it gets no worse than this, The Wild Women of Wongo, which I had for years on a VHS copy, and now I finally have it on DVD. So how cool is that? All right, that's just group one. Then we go on with, no, I guess that was group one. Okay. Okay, here's a series of kind of like instructional videos for school kids. They call these Atomic Age Classics, and what they are, they've got 8 volumes, and for some reason I only have 7. I have to go back and get the last one. But these are educational films, most of which were made in the 1940s, and they were probably already outdated and ridiculous when they made them. But I remember being in grade school back in the 1950s and 60s and seeing films that were a lot like this, teaching you how to behave in school, how to treat your parents, how not to get in trouble. I don't remember anything really heavy about, sex or drugs. Of course, back when I was a kid, there was no sex or drugs. Yeah, really, there wasn't. And here's one called How to Be a Housewife. Several films on each one, but one of the titles is How to Be a Housewife. Here's one, Manners, Courtesy, and Etiquette. I mean, these things are a scream, man. They're just so much fun. And yeah, How to Cope with Nuclear War, A-bombs, bomb shelters. Oh, here's one, Venereal Disease in You. I don't think I remember anybody telling me that there was something like venereal disease. Maybe in the 50s we didn't have it. I really don't know. Okay. So going on with some more. Here's a DVD called Monster Bash Origins, and it's all about the convention called the Monster Bash, which takes place every year around Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, sometimes different locations. And I actually went to 2 of these. I went to the one in 2005, 2006, and they have a lot of guests from old movies from the 1940s and, well, 50s and 60s usually. They call it's specifically supposed to be about the monster movies, right? So they have, like, the guy who played the monster in Creature from the Black Lagoon actually appeared at one of the Monster Bashes a couple years ago. So this is just kind of a video record of some of the conventions, plus a few extras like trailers for old movies. That'll be kind of fun. Here is an exploitation film directed by Roger Corman, and it stars what's called Swamp Women, and it stars Beverly Garland and Marie Windsor, and also Mike Connors, the actor from Mannix. That's not a bad movie. Really terrible print. The one drawback to some of these alpha videos is that they don't always have very good prints. I think they take them off of old VHS tapes, or they record directly from TV or something, but a lot of them, they're not that good to look at. But if it's the only copy you can get of some of these things, then it's still a good thing to have. I mean, until you can finally get, a really pristine copy. So here's a movie called Satan's Sadists, starring Russ Tamblyn, Scott Brady, from I think probably 1966, something like that. Another crazed motorcycle driver film. Those are always fun. Here's an old movie from 1956 called Rock, Rock, Rock. Excuse me. Which is about the early days of rock and roll. Alan Freed, who at the time was a famous DJ and radio personality, and was promoting a lot of rock groups and rock concerts at the time. And it also stars Tuesday Weld, who was 13 years old at the time. She was playing this starry-eyed teenage girl who wanted to earn money to buy a prom dress or something really ridiculous like that. And she would occasionally break out into song. Of course, Tuesday Weld couldn't sing a note. The woman who provided the voice for Tuesday Weld was none other than Connie Francis, right? And Frankie Lymon and the Teenagers are in this, Laverne Baker, Chuck Berry, the Moonglows, all kinds of great acts from those days. So I've seen this before. It's a wonderful movie. Here's an exploitation film from the 1930s or 40s called Marijuana. Yeah, okay. Those are always great fun. Here is a double feature. It's kind of an exploitation thing about teenagers in trouble. One's called The Prime Time, and the other is called The Flaming Teenage. Great cover. And it's all true. It all happened just that way. This is a movie from the early 60s called The Rebel Set, which is actually pretty good. It, it's a film that it starts out in kind of a, well, it turns out to be a crime caper, but it starts out with the ambiance of the beatnik coffee houses and jazz music, so it has a nice atmosphere to it. And then it gets kind of crazy. It turns into a typical crime caper thing. What the hell? Okay. Mohawk, starring Scott Brady, an old western from the 1950s. Jane Russell in The Outlaw, right? Classic film from 1941, not released until 1947 or something like that because it was supposed to be too, well, blatantly sexual for the time. This is volume 3 of a TV show called Shotgun Slade, an old western starring Scott Brady, which was unique in that it had, he played a detective in the Old West, right? And the music they used was jazz, which of course has nothing to do with the Old West, but it had really fantastic jazz music. So it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition of modern culture on an old genre. But yeah, I always liked that show when I was a kid. Okay, this is a film from 1932. It's called Rain, starring Joan Crawford. I think it was like the second film version of the short story by W. Somerset Maugham, which is called Rain. The first version was called Sadie Thompson, starring Gloria Swanson, 1928, a silent version. This is actually pretty good. Joan Crawford, Walter Houston. Okay. Here's a film called Millie, right? It says it's an electrifying sensation, and it stars an actress named Helen Twelvetrees. I mean, the only reason I bought this is because I have no other films starring Helen Twelvetrees. She was kind of an up-and-coming actress from the late 20s and early 1930s. I think this is 1931 or 32, and her career was actually very short. But she's really very good, and it's just such an odd name, and I think that's the reason why she commands any kind of attention today. But she ended up committing suicide, which is very sad. Here's a very good film called Meet John Doe, starring Gary Cooper, Barbara Stanwyck. It's a film by Frank Capra. Here's something I bought. It's called Racing Blood, starring Frankie Darro and Kane Richmond. And I think this was a mistake. I don't remember ordering this. I have no idea what it's about, but it's just a very old movie from the 1930s, which probably is pretty silly. But anyway, got that. This is a film starring Susan Hayward called Smash Up, the Story of a Woman. It's supposed to be a very good kind of a film noir drama. Haven't seen it. Here's a film with Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, and Dorothy Lamour called The Road to Bali. The last road film that they did at Paramount Studios in 1953. Okay? Here's a very good film from the 1940 or 1939 with Cary Grant and Irene Dunne called Penny Serenade. Really a very good movie. I remember that when I was a kid. This is a musical with Fred Astaire and Jane Powell called Royal Wedding. One of the classic MGM musicals from the early 1950s. Okay, this is a compilation of cigarette commercials from the 1950s and 1960s, right? Just shows some of the famous stars of the time, like Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz, who, of course, when they did I Love Lucy, it was sponsored by Philip Morris, so they were constantly showing the characters in the show smoking Philip Morris cigarettes, made sure they could show the pack. And then they did commercials between the scenes of the show. And yeah, I grew up watching all this shit. It's a wonder I don't smoke 5 packs a day, and I don't smoke at all. But yeah, back then it was just normal. You know, you accepted it. Okay, a little mystery film from the 1950s starring Loretta Young called Cause for Alarm. Very good movie. And I just dropped it on the floor. This is a kind of an obscure film noir that I never heard of until now, but I bought it because of the fact I never heard of it. It's called Close Up, with kind of obscure actors that I don't know about. Here's a film called Midnight Manhunt. It's kind of a mystery comedy with George Zucco, Ann Savage, and Leo Gorcey from the Bowery Boys, right? Classic film noir with Edward G. Robinson, Joan Bennett, and Dan Duryea called Scarlet Street. Wonderful movie. Unfortunately, this is not the best print that I bought it because it was cheap. Kino Video puts out a much better print. Here's another classic 1940s film with Edward G. Robinson. It's called The Red House with Julie London and Lon McAllister. Another comedy mystery with Anne Savage, who was, of course, the star of the famous film noir Detour. This is also with Jack Haley. It's called Scared Stiff. Is that a great cover or what? I love that cover. All right. And finally, I'm almost done here. This is Peter Lorre in Mr. Moto's Last Warning, one of the Mr. Moto series from the late 1930s and early 40s. And that's it. I think I'm done. So I'll leave you to be the judge. Have I become a hoarder, or am I still a collector, or a combination of both? Anyway, thank you for watching. Comments are always welcome. Take care, folks.